Hello everyone, welcome to episode 64 of the Commando cast. So as we've all been waiting and anticipating for, the RRG actually dropped this week. So that's what I want to spend today talking about just real quick, is the RRG, the impacts, and some of the pairings we're going to be looking at over the next 6 to 8 weeks. Hey guys, so actually we have a Prime this weekend, so this episode is going to be a little shorter than normal, but it's a big stuff going on with the RRG drop-in, so I wanted to make sure we get an episode out. So actually before that happens, because the Star Wars Destiny community is so great, and it's actually kind of funny, right? I actually feel comfortable sharing this with the Destiny community and not some of the other communities that we service on the channel, but I did want to announce that Amy and I are actually having a kid. We're adding a new Commando to the group, so I think that's actually pretty awesome. So we're very excited about that. But what everybody collectively is excited about, hopefully that too, but what everybody collectively excited about, of course, is the RRG that dropped this week. So I wanted to spend a bit of time talking about that and then go into some pairings. So what's perhaps more impactful to the meta itself, of course, are the additions to the restricted list. So what I'm showing right now, of course, remember highlighted in red. One of the things FFG does when they update is they highlight all the changes, which is actually seems simple, but a lot of people don't do stuff like that. So I do like that. So the additions to the restricted list are Delve, Faithful Companions, No Answer, Resistance Ring, Theed Palace, and Vader's Fist, right? So they listed alphabetically, but I want to go through it just real quick in terms of impact, right? So Theed Palace, Delve, and Vader's Fist, those three are clearly on there as a packet. What's interesting is there had been some rumors I'd heard previously about Sentinel Messenger perhaps being added. It was not added. Another notable absence is Desperate Measures, and if you want to get involved in the argument about that, just get on the main Facebook page. I'm actually going to avoid that altogether, right? But Delve, Theed Palace, and Vader's Fist, most notably the Delve Vader's Fist combo, which I think most of us agreed was pretty borderline broken, right? And the three work together because it didn't even matter what you rolled. You could Theed, get your third resource, Delve into your Fist. And Fist itself, first turn, screw it. Third turn, Fist is just amazing, right? So I don't think anybody, well, that's probably not true. There's probably people out there who are upset about that, but I think that one overall is good for the game to get that combo going. The one that I think is kind of weird is the Faithful Companions one. I've already been very clear that I think Faithful Companions is broken at 2 points. I had a cast on there. I kind of got lit up on some of the boards, people making fun of me about that. But Faithful Companions, the value of that is just off the charts, right? It should have been a 3, if not a 4. But what they've done is very odd if they've actually put it on the list. And remember, C-3PO is on that list as well. So putting a plot that specifically calls out a character to use it, to spot it, right, to trigger it on the same restricted list. I mean, isn't this basically just a ban? Like, and at that point, can't we just kind of own that and create a ban list? I mean, I realize that's a whole new thing we don't want to do. Maybe there are Mickey Mouse implications of doing a ban, but we're basically just killing the plot. Like, why can't we just own that? So that's kind of my take on that one in particular. Moving on, so No Answer, Resistance Ring. I think this is a great proactive move because nerfing the droids, like we've clearly done with Faithful Companions, nerfing Delve Fist, which is really your supports, your forloms, whatever, that really gives a great space for Mill to pop up, which was kind of doing really well anyway. So I think that doing this proactively is a really good move. What's also great about it is I think the impact isn't actually that bad. I think it really kills that 3-wide Bail Admiral Mill deck pretty bad because their whole thing was kind of forcing you to draw a card, nailing another one. But overall, I don't know that this actually hits Yoda, Leia Mill that bad, right? I think they actually drop Resistance Ring, probably still run No Answer, just so if they can get it through. Because again, the benefit of getting the 1 mil off the ring and then maybe some other jank with Field Medic, the value of just even the chance of getting off a No Answer is, I think better. Maybe not. We'd probably have to test that and go back and forth. But it doesn't really matter because we have a new meta. Just real quick, I wanted to talk about the lack of DM, Desperate Measures, being on this list. I know there's a lot of people upset about that, and I have my own reservations about Desperate Measures in that I really feel it should be a neutral card, but I actually love that Desperate Measures itself exists, and I've been even more reminded of that lately because Braven has resurrected the Shadowcaster Reset deck, the old traditional L3 Engineer deck, into a Chopper Engineer deck, because remember those droid upgrades are mods, so you can pull that for Chopper as well. I'm not saying he's the one who originated the deck. The deck's been flying around for a while, but it's just been tearing up our local metas, and if he sits down with someone who doesn't have access to Desperate Measures, it really still is kind of borderline NPE, right? I mean, I was playing him one week, and he just straight rolled, no problem, 18 damage in one turn, right? I mean, that's exceeding the fist for a lower cost curve, and you can tutor it. So, you know, I get that there's a lot of complaints about Desperate Measures killing a certain archetype, and I don't disagree with that. But when you have broken stuff, and then there's not really broken, but there's a silver bullet that kills that, and then people are upset about the silver bullet because it kills other stuff. You know, I don't think a lot of people had problems with Mind Extraction with Palp, so maybe if Desperate Measures could be changed somehow, that it just nixed Shadowcaster, but at that point we go back to my argument of the ban list. Anyway, I'm trailing off, I'm going off, but you know, I don't think Desperate Measures is a bad thing, because Shadowcaster can be a bad thing, right, sometimes, or at least in NPE in some ways, right? I mean, if we're going to go under the assumption that Delphis is a bad thing, I think we have to accept that Shadowcaster Reset can also be a bad thing. I think we just have to take those both ways, and Desperate Measures honestly keeps them both in check to a little bit with a trade-off. So I don't think putting DM, and besides, what are you going to put DM on the restricted list with? Like, I don't really know what you'd pair that with, aside from doing something weird that would equivalent basically to the 3PO Faithful Companions ban. Maybe you put him on with Sentinel or something. I mean, again, that's going back. So anyway, but I think I've done that through the nose. So that's the more impactful stuff to our current meta. What's more fun, and what I want to spend the rest of the time talking about, is the Balance of the Force. So there were 12 characters added to Balance of the Force in the negative fashion, which has just blown open the meta from a deck building standpoint, right? I mean, I sit down and my binder's full immediately, right? There's just so many pairings. So what I just want to do, I'm actually going to go through them top down in alphabetical order, which is the way they have them listed, and I just want to keep just real quickly talk about each guy, potential pairings with them. So first one's Bib Fortuna. The only possible pairing I can come up with this guy is Thrawn. I think this is really just a try to get Thrawn relevant before the Trandoshan Hunter hits. I still think Trandoshan Hunter is going to be in 6 weeks, we don't know it's coming out in 6 weeks, right? But 6 to 8 weeks, we know that that's coming out. I think that's better. I think the Praetorian Guard could possibly be better, but I mean, the special on Bib, getting to roll out Thrawn's die, that's what always felt bad about Thrawn's die, is consuming it for the 2 focus always felt really bad. So I guess in theory, if you could roll it out again, that's not horrible, right? So I think Bib is really just thrown out there specifically for Thrawn. I don't really come up with anybody else that he works for. He's certainly not working for Grievous, which we'll talk about later. Bo-Tan, she's a little weird at 18. It's kind of funny. So Braven and I locally we had actually developed together a double down Bo-Tan deck with R2, single die R2, flipping her into that top side 3. At 18, you can actually play her with Elite R2, which is kind of neat. Additionally, I could see potentially like a Bale deck. I mean, she does have 3 pretty potent pseudo damage sides, right? So I could see maybe doing like an Admiral Reset with Bo. It is red-yellow, so you can maybe get the speed effect in there. I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes, but that's something that's potential to check out. All right, so Finn. Finn is one of the big guys that there's a lot of pairings with, right? So you guys all know I love Jyn, right? I love her effect. Finn Jyn, it's Jyn Finn, whatever way you want to go. That's a pairing that I immediately got drawn to. Another one I got drawn to immediately was Kes Dameron Finn, and the reason that happened is because a lot of people were playing that in their Solidarity themed tournaments already, right? Because it was 32 minus the 2. You just don't get the card, you don't get the money. A lot of people are playing that anyway, so now you don't have to play it with Solidarity, so I think that's a very low-hanging fruit to go attack, right? And then, of course, we have, the one we've all been wanting forever, which is Bro Dameron, right? Po2 Finn. The problem with all three of these decks is they're mono, and not only are they mono, they're mono red, right? I mean, honestly, if you're going to play mono, most of the time you want to play mono blue. But you know, these, I think they can all be fun. The Bro Dameron one, even though it leaves a point on the table, is pretty great because you can special chain into Finn. Finn for a long time has been one of those like great guys that you just couldn't make to work, and actually we had that in a cast. Finn, he basically has 4 damage sides or 4 effective damage sides. He's fantastic value even at 11 health, but now at 14 points, I mean, this guy is great. I think there's a lot of great stuff out there can happen with Finn. I mean, heck, previously people had even been doing Finn Castian. Shout out Sean, right? People have been doing that. Now you can do it with Double Down or something like that too, right? Even if you want to keep it going. So I think Finn's one of the big winners. I don't know that I've dialed into a great deck with him yet, but I think there's a lot of smart people out there, smarter people than me, who are going to be able to figure this out. Moving to General Grievous. So General Grievous moving to 18, actually, I think actually hurts him, right? Him moving off of being able to run with Retribution, I think might actually not help him. On the flip side, being able to run with Elite Talisman doesn't stink, especially because there's a lot of, right, you have Energy Bow, you have the Hunting Rifle, you have Fragmentation Grenade, those 3 right off the top are 3 1-cost weapons. I think you could potentially run a 1-cost Grievous Talisman package and it wouldn't stink. You can also run the guy with Watto. Watto makes a ton of money, and if you're going to be throwing weapons on Grievous, that's pretty much what Watto does, right? So you've got 2 natural pairings there, which I think are okay. I do just wonder what the impact's going to be of losing Retribution there. Maybe it won't be as bad. And we can actually make the same argument for Palp 2 here in a second, right? The next one, Jabba the Hutt. I have a question mark here on Tarkin because this is the only one I could come up with. I honestly can't come up with a good pairing for this guy. The only cool thing I've ever seen this guy used in was a hero villain tournament that we ran for a crazy theme night, and it was Jabba Yoda, right, for just the specials. The only thing I come up with this guy is maybe Tarkin turning specials in, so you resolve whatever specials you can. You're running, you know, your Masterminds, you're running Crystal Balls, running Dark Council and stuff, trying to just spam your maybe barterings, right? Just trying to spam specials on the board, hit what you can out of Jabba, turn the rest of specials into indirect. That's the only thing I can possibly think of. I don't even think it has legs, so I don't know. I mean, if you run Tarkin, I think you want to run blue for all the 0-cost removal, but I don't know. Maybe somebody, again, smarter than me can figure out a better pairing here. Callus, I am super excited about this guy, right? Callus at 15, I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined this guy go from 18 to 15. 15 elite for this guy is huge. I think, and I'm even going to go on a limb here, I think he might actually be better than Iden. His power action, so it's no secret that I'm a huge fan of the card Sudden Impact. His power action has a 50%, him with his power action has a 50% chance, and if you do that combined, he has an exceedingly high chance. And by combined, I mean elite. If you do that elite, he has an exceedingly high chance of being able to get to his 3 for 1 side. With a Sudden Impact in your hand, that becomes 2 to everybody because you're going to pay 1 for it anyway. I absolutely love Callus. He's just never been able to work out at 18. We were playing him for a while, way back when in Legacies with Talzin because of the flipping, and it worked okay. But just the possibilities with this guy right now at 15. You can play a mono red with Iden for some speed, because remember, this guy's a leader trooper, right? He doesn't say it on his card, but he's a leader trooper. Pillars perfectly with Iden. Run military camp even, because even droids aren't going to outpace you. You can also just swap him in 1 for 1 with Iden for the Beckett combo, right? I still think he's better. Again, I still think in that case you run Sudden Impact, because you know who else has a 3 for 1 is Beckett, right? And you're running Truce, so if you need the money, you're running Truces with Beckett anyway, so if you need the money, fantastic. So I'm really excited about this guy. A lot of possibilities here. Callus at 15 is just a massive change. Next comes Kit Fisto. The natural pairing my head goes to here is Old Man Luke. Amy had actually been running this for a while with, we tried Solidarity, and that was not as good as Bitter Rivalry. Even Mike Jim, I remember one point way back when, actually posted an article about this one with Bitter Rivalry as well. You don't have to run that anymore. It's not as crippling. Very interested to see where this one goes. Granted, we don't have Shotos and stuff anymore, so it's very not the same world that we were back then, but that 2 focus on Kit's no joke, and him just being able to remove die to block is no joke either. So I think this one's worth some exploring. Jay Danger, shout out to you, man, for making Blue Hero good again. Let's see what you can do with this guy. All right, this one, I'm going to gloss over this one because we're actually going to come back to this one at the end. The only one I can zero in because I'm so laser focused on this is Jango Maul, right? Maul going to 14 is massive. We're going to talk about this in a bit, but Django is the right answer here. All right, next, Palpatine. So Palpatine 2, that is, also suffers, I think, from the same problem as Grievous in that I almost wonder if Palpatine at 20 wasn't better than Palpatine at 18 just for retribution, right? Palpatine Mando, I mean, you guys all know I have love with Mando. It's fine. It's well documented. I don't know. Retribution's pretty big. On the flip side, running with Grievous. Grievous has the 1 gun. He has the 2 indirects, so there's the 2 damage sides there. He has the 2 focus, which is pretty massive, and he's 12 points. And also running with Talzin, so maybe there's a odd package you can run there. There are definitely possibilities with Palpatine. I think you want to somehow figure out how to run him with yellow, because that's where all the really cool 3-cost events are, right? And that's really how I think you take most advantage of him. And I'm not seeing, at least obvious to me, how you get there with yellow, right? I mean, when you think 12-point yellow, you automatically think Watto, which has no damage sides, right? So I'm not sure where Palp fits, but again, maybe that falls into the category of somebody way smarter than me is going to figure it out, and I'm excited to see what people will come up with there. Qui-Gon, this one's very limited. Yoda, like that's the answer. You could already have played him with Ayla, and that wasn't going anywhere. Maybe with Yoda's shield generation and money. I mean, that is a very real possibility, right? I mean, with Yoda rolling out, getting 3 drops on Qui-Gon to start, getting him loaded up, it could get nasty. We'll see. But Blue Hero, Mono is not doing a ton of things. And, you know, we also have the Kit Luke thing to explore, and that's more of a middle, and they both have potential damage sides. So, I don't know. We will see how this goes. There's plenty of Mono Blue Hero lovers out there to take this one over me. Next comes Rex. Rex was a little confusing to me in that I'm not really sure where he fits. There's actually a number of pairings out there with him from a 3-wide standpoint, whether he goes elite or non-elite or whatever, right? Because it's in that 3-point range. But you go him and Ayla and clone. You go him Han clone. You could potentially even throw a partisan in there if you wanted to try to get. And with Ayla, I mean, you could go rainbow. It shouldn't be too hard to go rainbow with him as it is. But I know it's kind of interesting. I think really the only answer to Rex, it's very interesting to me that they dropped him, because in a world where Rainbow reigns supreme, it's a little odd to me that they drop him when there isn't such an obvious pairing, which if there's not an obvious pairing, dropping him to 13 really just increases the support width, I think. So it's a little interesting they dropped him to almost encourage more Rainbow. That said, if it's Rainbow Agra for Hero, that's probably not the end of the world, because that's really kind of Villain's domain as it is. So, I don't know, I'll be very interested to see where this goes. The mixed damage also can potentially slow down. You're not really looking at a 5-die package with him at 10-13, unless you're running Jar Jar, and let's be honest, nobody wants to do that. So, yeah, we'll see where this goes. Again, that falls into this maybe somebody smarter than me category. Last one, but certainly not the least, is Zeb. Zeb going from, so Zeb has 12 health. So Callus does as well, right? But let's just be very clear here, right? Zeb going from 17 to 14 with 12 health is crazy town, because Zeb can pair with anybody, right? That's why he's so good, right? And look at the 2 pairings I have here. He's with Jyn, or he's with Mace, right? Those are the 2 ones I went to immediately. Amy and I went and played some games. I put her together as Zeb Mace. It actually performed pretty well. Jyn, I have not paired her with yet. Again, everybody knows I like Jyn. I just like stealing that card. The Jyn casting deck is great. Like, it has some pretty serious advantages, but I don't see any reason that if you're going aggro, you don't run Zeb over Castian. Like, I just don't. The 3-for-1 side is not that big a deal. Jin's 2 side is always a handicap, and he has 3 damage sides now, because that's always a problem, was Castian only had 2. Zeb's got more health. I don't know. Someone's got to get that on the table and show me that it's good, because I'm pretty sure that one's going to be at least fun, if nothing else. So, all right. So I promised earlier we were going to talk about, and I actually promised a viewer earlier, I already have this video up, of playing Django, Fett, Maul, LSM, right? So I'm in love with this deck. This is immediately where my head went as soon as I saw the list, and I just want to talk about it, right? So this deck basically has the best of all worlds, right? So what do people like in the current meta about Palpatine? It's access to, I should say, Papa Palpatine, right? The yellow version. It's access to lightsaber mastery, and the only reason people like lightsaber mastery is access to fatal blow on demand when you need it, right? Dropping Maul to 14, who's an oak, and I should say Maul 1, right? Dropping Maul 1 to 14 with Django at 14 gives you access to LSM, which gives you access to fatal blow on demand. Django has no problem getting to 4 to 5 upgrades by round 2. Like, it's not a problem at all, right? So let me just run through this list real quick. So what I have for upgrades, I do have 13, which is high, but again, remember we're running Django here. So I have armor plating equipment, bounty hunter mask, 0 cost equipment. I have crystal ball, 1 cost equipment, dagger of mortis, and heirloom lightsaber. Those guys are deploying onto Maul to either drag the target, and hopefully you do because they all redeploy, and then you can, you know, heal Django later. But it drags the target away, and if they start moving dice, you can move theirs back, right? This is another one of those great decks where nobody knows who to target first, and if you play it right, they honestly have no good option. Then we have Mandalorian Van Braces, 1 cost equipment, quick draw holster, 0 cost equipment. So we're making money out of the gate, and then because of course Django is a bounty hunter, we're playing Dead or Alive, which is one of just the greatest utility money-making plots. Then, because why the heck not, we're running Vader's Fist. I am not running Delve in this. This is a post-RRG. It is not that uncommon that you can hardcast Vader's Fist just because you have a bunch of money by round 2, 3, right? It's not a round 1 Vader's Fist. I'm not saying it is, but Vader's Fist can be your closer when you also have 5 or 6 dice on the table. Not a bad deal. Or you have a Maul with 2 big lightsabers on him and Vader's Fist hitting the table. Not a bad deal. All right, next is Armed to the Teeth, 2 Bactas for obvious reasons. I could see an argument for only playing 1 Bacta just in case they go for Django, because you're probably only going to pull 1 off anyway. The problem I find with Bacta a lot is if you end up getting it round 1 or 2 and you don't need it, you'll end up chucking it for a reroll because you're playing a bunch of equipment with Django. So I think we really have to run 2 Bactas in here. I'm running 1 Beguile. Again, you can play a little more expensive cost curve because you're making money with Django. 1 DM, of course, 2 Doubts, 1 EMP, 2 Forsakens. I could see swapping out an EMP for a Forsaken because, again, we're rolling out a lot of dice. A lot of times you're not trapped with 1. However, we run up against enough 3-wides right now that I felt that including 2 Forsakens was okay. 2 Hidden Motives, 1 Intimidate. That's for the Raylo matchup. If you want to, you can drop in a Galactic Deception instead. That's completely up to you. Then moves, of course, are Fatal Blow, Pushing Slash. That's pretty standard for the Pelt build. But this is basically taking everything great out of the Pelt build, taking everything great that everybody ever wanted and failed to do in a Django deck and combining them together. This deck is super sexy. I've been super impressed with how good this is. When I get it on the table, all I walk away with is, wow, this deck is really good. So no, I have not played it into droids yet because we've been doing testing, but I haven't run into a post-RG droids yet either. So I don't know. I'm very excited about this deck. Someone had asked for a list. This is a list, at least as it exists today. That may change in 15 minutes. I never know, but this is basically the shell of the deck. So I don't know. Like I said, I wanted to keep this kind of quick and short. I know I've gone a lot longer than quick and short already, but that's the RRG. That's the changes. That's what we're looking forward to. So please, in the comments, let me know what you guys are thinking. I'm sure that there's a bajillion and a half combos that I haven't hit yet or haven't even thought of, and I'd like to hear what you guys are thinking because some of you guys are way more creative than I am. So please leave that in the comments. As always, like and subscribe. Help us keep growing this community, and if nothing else, go Commando.